Father and the man.
And the gift man.
Narrator. The father and the man.
Mist woman.
And I am the sky man.
The strange rock formation was looked upon with awe by the Indian as a bridge over which departed souls could find their last resting place in the island caves. As to its creation, there are many legends. This one tells of a mortal woman and her love for a sky spirit. Along the beaches on the shores of Lake Huron dwelt a band of Chippewa. Their lodges, round-topped and fashioned of saplings and elm bark, lay peacefully beneath the forest boughs. In the finest lodge, with its door a blanket of moose hide, dwelt the chief of the band and his beautiful daughter, called She Who Walks in the Mist. When she carried water from the lake in her clay vessel, or worked the bright designs of dyed moose hair and porcupine quills into soft moccasins, the young braves watched with admiring eyes. But Miss Woman paid little heed. Her workdays were long without a mother to help, but she never complained, and her father was proud. Someday he knew she would marry a fine brave from another clan and bear him many sons. At first, when the young men began coming to their lodge bringing gifts, Miss Woman smiled, offered them wild rice that she had gathered in her canoe. Then one day all was changed. Suddenly the young men found her sitting with downcast eyes instead of welcoming smiles. As her father saw her drawing more and more apart, paddling in her canoe alone at night, he became angry.
Why are you honest, my daughter? You who once smiled on the strong young men who brought you gifts. Now treat them with a cold heart. Are you under an evil spell?
Miss Woman only shook her head.
A daughter cannot always dwell in the house of her father. You must choose a husband, or you will become old and wrinkled like moss, you say the turkey.
Still his daughter was silent. In anger, the father rose and picked up a heavy stick from the ground.
I have never beaten you, daughter, but I shall, unless you tell me why you refuse my wishes.
Slowly the girl lifted her head. She saw anger in her father's eyes. At last she spoke.
It's true, my father. I'm under a spell, but not placed on the sorcerer.
What then?
Asked her father fiercely.
Let me speak to you. You may know my heart. Often when I go gather the wild rice, when it's late, often the star cap of the dead sky when I return. 2 moons ago I paddled to the eastern shore of the village and a handsome brave appeared to me. His clothing was the whitest snakeskin covered with my designs, the designs my hands have never felt, that my eyes have never seen. But even more wonderfully was his robe, shining in the light. I tried to paddle quickly towards home like a daughter should, but my hands were helpless. My canoe drifted, but that's when he spoke to me.
Oh, lovely one,
He said,
long have I watched you in the village, wishing that you might be mine for all time. In my home, high above you, I am the son of a chief, evening star, and I am therefore a sky person. And so I felt I dare not speak to you of my love. Then, as I watched the young men coming to your lodge bearing gifts, my heart felt heavy, and I became as one without hope. It was then that my father came to my couch of bird feathers, and I told him of your beauty. He understood and gave me leave to earth that I might ask you to join me in my sky home.
I said that I would marry no one but And what did you answer, my daughter?
I said I would marry nobody but him.
Miss Woman answered.
Huawei, no, it is forbidden. You shall not marry no one at all.
By the arms, he shoved her roughly out of the lodge toward the lake shore. He placed her in the bow of his war canoe. With mighty strokes, drove the craft straight to the island of the turtle spirits. There he drew out a long cord made of deer sinew, and throwing the noose about Mist Woman, dragged her toward the great rock which towered above the beach.
Perfect.
There he tied her hand and foot.
Now,
He said,
you shall not see your love again. Here shall you lie until you decide to be a faithful daughter once more.
and off he strode. Mist Woman made no answer, nor did she cry out when the sun grew hot or the rain beat upon her helpless body. Only her tears flowed down upon the rock, speaking of her longing. Little by little, the tears began to melt the stone until at last an arch appeared beneath her, and she was left on a high bridge. That night, through the arch appeared the rays of the evening star, and down these rays strode her star brave. Gathering her into her arms, He carried her up the star rays into the land of the sky people. The tears that could not melt a father's heavy heart melted the stone on Mackinac Island. I'm done.
Yeah. Okay. 1, 2. Are we jumping? What?
Wait, what?
So I'm gonna